From inception, we've been telling you that the best you can do to yourself is to sit sometimes and celebrate yourself. And yes, we've always been doing this. And before now, we've tried making you understand some things about health. We've also tried making you understand about being there for another. We've also tried making you understand a whole lot of things about the customs, the traditions, and a whole lot about Africa. In case you're just seeing this for the first time, we have so many other episodes that would educate you on a whole lot. And here, I would love to welcome you, especially to DARA Africa. DARA Africa is that podcast that educates you on why you should celebrate yourself first. And after celebrating yourself, you now see the reason to celebrate every other person and every other thing around you, which simply means celebrating the Africanness in you. And for today, I don't want to speak plenty grammar today because today na money day. And by being a money day, we have to like get down to the root, or to the root I meant to say. Most times when we hear about oil money, most times we think about crude oil. But the oil money we would be discussing today is, should I even say sharper than crude? And I think before crude came, this oil had already been there. To some extent, I learned there's so much money in it, or there's so much to learn from it, and there's so many things to even gain from it. I don't know how to say it, but I had to like go down. One of the things I had to make you understand is that it is not until the elders come to tell you those things. It is because of you and I that I have to like bring a younger person who has abandoned a whole lot of things. This person I'm telling you about is I don't know whether Baba not be the president of our postgraduate students. I don't know. When
Stop,
time comes, he
stop,
will tell us that.
stop.
I'm not saying undergraduate, I say postgraduate. When I was in school and we were running Aluta, Baba was my stakeholders chairman. You see, as I beat my chest, he was my stakeholders chairman. And he loves sports. Yes, he's a very wonderful sports enthusiast. He loves if I say he loves food, it would be as if he's a foodie. But to some extent, he's not. But what I mean by he loves food is that he loves the Africanness in presenting, preserving, and preparing African foods. He likes so many things that if I want to mention all these portfolios, it would be as if I'm singing a new song in his name. I would not love to like go too far, but I would love to present you to our wonderful guest today. Um, Enameti Usenata,
Of
welcome to
course,
the show.
thank you very much, my brother and friend. Was the way you have introduced me some astonishing, and believe me, I may at the end of the day forget a whole lot of things that I was supposed to talk about. There are times an individual will be introduced.
Yeah.
Today I came to talk about something very different from the whole introduction you're making, and quite unfortunately, I may not be able to live up to expectation because of the magnitude of the introduction. But I'll be it. I thank God for all those achievements, and all those things wouldn't have been possible without people like you by my side.
Well, I forgot to mention the fact that he almost became the local government chairman of its local government area.
Someday, somehow.
But along the line, we'll discuss that another time because you see, that one, we'll get plenty to talk
Of
about in
course,
that
of
case.
course, of
But
course.
being that we are here to discuss money, and apart from discussing money, we discuss oil. But this time around, I didn't mention the fact that we are here to discuss palm oil. Yes, one thing about palm oil that I'm certain to also affirm to you is that palm oil is one particular blessed product, blessed agricultural products that everything about it is useful. Talking about the leaves, which is the raffia, even the brooms could be made from the leaves, even the sticks from it. Should I even talk about forming firewoods from them too? And even come to the stem where you could even form woods from them. Now you get down to um, the fruit itself. The fruit itself gives you oil. It gives you chaff that could be used for fire and a whole lot. Even the seed itself, if I want to mention the seed itself, oh, make a note to mention plenty.
The city itself is a business on its own. Talking about people that are in the kennel sector,
Now, the seed itself is a business on its own. I wanted to like mention so many other
very large
benefits.
business, very large
And
business
as
like
a
that.
business person, he's telling you it's a business on its, or sorry, on its own. Now, let's delve straight into the business of palm oil.
Okay.
When I was young, we used to see palm oil business merchants to be
Dirty people.
dirty people,
Yeah.
poor and bigger people. But with your level of exposure, you're delving straight into palm oil. And the last time I saw you, you didn't have this kind of pot belly you have now. And even the beards you're having now is different from a poor man's beards. The cheeks are swollen. So, Enameti, tell us more about this thing.
Of course, truth be told, I wouldn't say in any way that there is no money in palm oil business. There is a whole lot of it. But then, um, talking about the people that used to do it before now, and if you get to see the set of persons that are doing palm oil now, of course, you are going to see that most of them are people that are actually educated. Unlike before now, people used to underrate people that were in palm oil sector, and you would have, had a whole lot of big men in the community doing it, like older men in the community. The younger ones wouldn't just want to rate it because it's actually a dirty business. Each time I talk to my friends, most times my friends will just see me and they are like, Enameti, what are you doing? Why you see, look how chubby you look and all those. I'll just tell them I do a very dirty business. And most times the ladies will always be like, "Oh, come, I'm looking for a job. Can you employ me
Can
in your
you?
firm?" And I will tell them, "Look, you will not survive a day." And truthfully, they may not be able to because sometimes you get to
Their
the village.
nails, their makeups.
Of course, you understand. And then, but we have a whole lot of ladies that are doing it and they are extremely successful. Most of them even get to the extent of, having people do those things for them while they are seated to give the instruction as the boss. But truth be told, why it actually seemed like the older men were surviving or were doing the business well is because they had learned the norms of the business.
Okay.
You cannot get into any business without knowing how it is. Just like you are asking now, a whole lot of people will always want to venture into oil business because they feel like there is so much money in it, which there is to an extent. But most of them are always at the losing end because most times they fail to learn the business. They fail to, carry out a market survey. Most of them will just pick up their money, get into it, to villages, get into interiors, buy the palm oil, come out, and then run losses because they did not, as individuals, examine the business. It just felt like there is money. You could buy a whole lot of people. A whole lot of people carry out a whole lot of atrocities in the name of this palm oil. Just like we have adulterated fuel, adulterated crude, and all those stuffs, we still have adulterated palm oil. And it's basically done for a certain area around Akwa Ibom State and other places, which I won't want to mention for posterity's
But
sake.
outside Akwa Ibom, is it also, do we also have other
Of
places?
course, if you get to places like Calabar, people that have been doing oil business for a long time, these guys are on the know of this business.
Yeah, the cross
And then, yeah,
riverians
the
are,
cross
yeah.
riverians, and they know most of them that are not really good people know
Yeah.
what it takes to take up to 5-10 gallons of oil and produce to make it up to 20
Hey,
with
hey,
series of chemical and water. And
hey.
this becomes very unfortunate because one day I was having a discussion with a man and I told him, look, if I'm staying at the north now, most of the oil we send to the north are consumable. And then I'm staying at the north, I'm your brother. And then you are sending this oil to the north. How will the consumer feel? Knowing too well, most times by the time you get to use those kind of palm oil in your soup,
In your
brother,
soup.
they may really not come out as if there is a palm oil in that soup. Then you get
Okay.
to use much of it, and then you continue to use much of it, and it doesn't really come out. So, but the main thing is there are always places to buy good palm oil, especially here in Akwa Ibom State. Akwa Ibom State is a palm oil up, and a whole lot of people know it. Most times, you get to see a whole lot of Hausa people, the oil merchandise from Hausa community coming in to Akwa Ibom State. There is a particular place in Akwa Ibom State called Tola Market. It's actually at Nasarawa, and the place is called Nasarawa in Barikam. And then when you get to see, you will see a whole lot of people who come in from different places, come direct to that place, and immediately they arrive there, they will start telling you a particular person they want.
Okay.
You understand? And
That is
this,
now the business is now based on trust
yes, not really on trust, but because they have sat from where they are seated to hear about the
about the
business and the
person.
person in question.
Okay.
Sometimes, not really via recommendation. We could just be having a discussion. We could just be, and on the course of the discussion, we get to mention somebody like Eventus. Then
Okay.
somebody has picked interest in what Eventus does.
Yeah.
And then, someday comes to a particular place where Eventus stays and then gets to ask about Eventus, even without the prior knowledge of the other person that talked about the Eventus. So that is how oil business is, and a whole lot of people, are on the know that there is much money in palm oil, unlike before, where people will get to see you try to do palm oil business and then wouldn't really want to have something to do with you because all business, all merchandise are like mechanics. You always see them appearing. You always see them appearing dirty. Yeah,
Dirty.
that is why
Dirty and oily.
dirty and oily. A madman wants to tell a mechanic to be careful so that they, as smart people, can be identifiable. So you don't get to see a mechanic and rate the person as a mad person, and you can't decipher between the two. That is how all merchandise are always rated at some point, especially if you get to the village markets where the oil is extremely competitive to
Yeah.
get even a rubber,
Yeah.
because there are a whole lot of people buying, series of people that are taking it to different places. People that buy palm oil do not take it to a particular place. There are people that buy palm oil here in Akwa Ibom State, send it to Abuja. There are people that buy palm oil here in Akwa Ibom State and their targeted audience is at Lagos.
Okay.
But the major place that oil is being sold, that is the Akwa Ibom market community, is in the market in Kano called Kaladima market in Kano. And truth be told, a whole lot of the people there have been customers to people that buy oil from Akwa Ibom State for a very long time, and they have not been disappointed in a way or the other.
Good and fine. You've talked about the customer's relationship, and so far, the length that this oil has gone. I'm sure that to some extent you might not have understood that Akwa Ibom oils have been going outside
Outside the country
Nigeria
as
too.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, but I love to like get down straight into a little history. The little history is that Nigeria once was the hub of palm oil, and I understand the fact that I think Malaysia
Malaysia, Indonesia,
now
all those
produce
Asian
larger
countries. I
oil.
think Malaysia produces the highest hectare of palm fruit and also palm oil
And
in the
most of
world.
these things were bought on and brought from Nigeria
They didn't
here.
just buy. Nigeria also taught them how to, cultivate those fruit, those this thing, and it's sad today because most times a whole lot of people are into farming but cannot or wouldn't want to for any reason
Venture into
venture
palm
into
oil.
a palm fruit plantation. It takes a whole lot of time to
Yeah,
take care of those seedlings
yeah.
for them to be like to become like for it to grow and become that tree. It takes a whole lot of time, but then, and I wouldn't say the
When you
government.
say a whole lot of time, I doubt if the whole lot of time takes up to 5 to 10 years before it
It
starts
doesn't,
bearing fruit.
especially
With a
with the
species,
species we have now, like the agric.
yeah.
You get to see a very, not tall.
Very
You
small
can
and
you can
meager
you
like
you
this,
can you
bearing
can you can
fruits.
stand on your own to harvest it without climbing a thing or the other. So you see, there are a series of species now, but fortunately, people fail to understand the benefits of planting these trees.
Now, on the other hand, you understand the fact that I think there was this company called Nifo, and Nifo was meant specifically for production of oil.
Okay,
Sorry, oil palm.
palm fruit,
And
palm oil.
yes, and I think the last time I checked, please don't misquote, the last I checked, the place was not as productive as it used to be because to some extent, Nifo was even the brand that helped Malaysia to like sell out some of these ideas. So, what is happening to Nigerian production systems? What is happening to Nigerian agricultural system? Because now, coming back to you, they just like you've mentioned, people are planting on daily
Yeah.
basis, but the number of palm productions made like palm trees
Yeah.
planted on dailies, or sorry, on yearly basis, even
Yes.
on quarterlies, are reducing. So now, is it in any way not affecting the production of oil compared to how we used to have before now?
Okay, truth be told, there are times people get to, lose a whole lot of money in palm oil business, and basically it doesn't relate to the fact that the price here is way cheaper than it's supposed to be, but it is related to the fact that most times people that send their oil to places like Kanu, places like Katsina, and places like Adamawa will do the sending
Yeah.
without a prior knowledge of the fact that the boundary, the Nigerian boundary, has been opened for oil from Malaysia to come in.
Hey,
So it has gotten
yeah.
to the extent that Nigerians no longer depend on the palm oil from
From
Nigeria
Nigeria.
alone.
So we now export palm oil
Nigeria is
too.
exporting palm oil as we speak.
Hey, imagine waiting they do
So,
us
so,
now.
so with that, you get to understand that it's going to likely get worse by the day. Talking about the question you asked, because if nothing is done, if the government failed to do something, because I think palm fruit plantation is really not something that individuals that are in the agricultural sector should do alone. But most of
Yeah.
them
We
are
need
really
that
scared to,
government.
they are scared to want to do it because they are looking at the losses that may come with it. And of course, as farmers, they will want a daily return, maybe quarterly or yearly. But palm fruit may take a little time. You
Yeah.
understand? So that's
Yeah.
why you're seeing a whole lot of people scare themselves away. But if it continues to be this way, even with the fertile soil we have, it may get to a point in time where we will have to be totally dependent on palm oil from outside and outside alone. So I feel the government should try as much as possible to, push farmers to, have a whole lot of, to cultivate a whole lot of palm fruit for the betterment of, this thing is something that is very viable. It has a way of boosting the economy.
Sure.
Of course, you cannot do without palm oil, and then you get to see the government benefits a whole lot, even from the series of trucks we have.
You are talking about boosting the economy. Are you aware that before the advent of crude
Crude
oil,
oil,
what was boosting the economy of many African countries, and Nigeria most
agriculture,
specifically, was agriculture? And to mention some of them, number one was palm
palm
production,
oil, yeah.
cocoa, and many others, cocoa rubber.
Yes.
And I think even here in Akwa Ibom, I used to hear my parents talk about cocoa plantations, and I even grew up to see some of them.
Aside the
But
cocoa,
all those trees have been fallen.
aside the cocoa plantation, if you get to a place like Ntanyang in its local government, you are going to see a particular cultivation where we have just rubber trees.
Okay.
And I think,
Are they still tapping the
yeah, they
rubbers?
are. And that place belongs to an individual who makes a whole lot of money. But I don't really, I can't really tell for sure if it belongs to an individual, but I think it's managed and controlled by a particular individual. But what I'm saying in essence is that if such a place as it is produces a whole lot of money, what's stopping the government from trying as much as possible to, see a way they can harness with even graduates from the agri department? It's quite unfortunate to say, but I am saying this
Apologetically.
because this country the best person. If you make it speak with you don't know.
No, speak up.
Okay, so of course I'm saying I cannot tender any reserve apology to anybody, but you get to see a whole lot of students that have graduated from the agri departments wanting white collar jobs. So who's going to be the food provider now?
I
It's
have
on.
seen an angry person in the bank.
Of course, you get to see now, you understand. And this is somebody that went on to spend up to 5 years, studying agri. I
You
mean,
remember that time in school that it
you
used to be kind of very painful that somebody studying agriculture is studying for five
for
good
5 good
years.
years,
Yet we in art, we were with just 4 years,
4 years.
and we were like, what's going on
What are they really
here?
doing? You understand? But I feel like even the NUC, the people in charge of the school scheme, understand that these people are no mean people to the society. They are people that are supposed to be producing. There are people that the society are supposed to be dependent on.
Yeah.
So by the time they now make themselves dependent on what other people are producing, it becomes very alarming. Because talking about something like that cocoa, you get to see Ghana doing very well in cocoa
Yeah.
production as
Yeah.
of today.
Yeah.
So where are we headed to as a country? So talking about this palm fruit now, like palm plantation and the palm oil production, it may get to a point in time where unfortunately we may get to be importing a whole lot of it, because as we speak we are importing already.
Now, we were still talking about palm, and something crossed my mind, and
Yeah.
that thing happens to be palm wine.
Okay.
Now, I didn't mention the fact that from palm trees, you can still have palm
Of
wines.
course.
And palm wines, Namity, normally, as
Normally,
guys,
normally
on a normal diamond,
the African way.
in African way, normal African way, you cannot dara, you cannot celebrate yourself without taking yourself to a palm wine joint and be taking one or two bottles of understanding with friends who would be jayying with you.
Of course.
But at this point, there is this other palm.
You know, ordinarily there is a particular tree called the palm wine tree.
Yes,
And
that's
then
what I was
yes,
even trying to get
yes,
to. That
but
one you rarely even see them.
you really see it
But
nowadays.
we have palm wine
That is
almost
why,
everywhere.
unfortunately, we have a whole lot of people producing palm wine
So we now
with
have produced
chemicals,
palm wines.
produced palm wine
Oh,
instead of the tapped palm wine.
no wonder
And
palm wine
you
these days are
understand?
no longer
There are times you are
sweet.
going to take palm wine, and then at the end of the day, you will realize that what you take is just a resemblance of palm wine facially, but it's not palm wine per
Yeah.
se. And all this boils down to the fact that these trees have gone into extinction. They are no longer there. These trees are no longer there. And talking about the other palm wine that is tapped from the palm tree, bro, you need to have a taste of it. You need to,
The
okay, on
white
a very
palm
good day,
wine.
if you are headed to Benue State, by the time you are passing by the boundary between Benue and Enugu State, you are going to, that's where you can, actually get a very resounding palm wine that is tapped from palm tree. Bro,
They always hug on the streets.
you will love it, and it's something that a whole lot of people that have not had that experience, that taste of it before, will always want to stop and get to taste
And
it.
that one is never adulterated.
It's never adulterated. It's never adulterated. It's very sugary and then very beneficial to the health. But where are we headed to? We are no longer having these things again, and then there is no how we are going to get to continue this production. There is no how we are going to continue seeing things like this if we fail to cultivate these trees that are very helpful in one way or the other to the society. Just like you said earlier on, the tree that actually the palm tree is called economic tree because every single
Everything
thing
about it.
about it counts, from the tree which can be used for timber, to the leaves which can be used for broom, to the palm fruit which can be we extract the palm oil and also the kernel
The
and the
kernel.
chaffs from the what have you, and all those things are very economical. You sell them to make money. So most times we get to hear the government, planting, doing this and doing the other thing as far as the agricultural sector is concerned, and then you will not at any point in time hear the government, either of the state or the federal, talk about a palm plantation. So where are we headed to as a nation?
And well, I don't know. That big question. There is this song, if you ask me, who I go ask? If you ask me
I
who I
think
go
I think
ask,
you will certainly have people to ask.
well, I would forward the question to some other people because maybe me go answer that one.
It's certainly not for you, but if you can actually channel it to the appropriate authorities to find a way to
Being
answer you.
that he asked me that question, and I don't want to ask you, I want us to together channel this question to the appropriate authorities. And at this point, you know that there are so many questions unanswered about palm production. There are so many questions unanswered about making money with palm oil, palm, in fact, generally palm itself. And Enameti himself had tried addressing a whole lot and a whole lot of them. But we cannot finish all in a day. Make sure that on your own, you can even slide into the inbox and mention some other things. Let's see how we can boost this together. And on your own, go back and see how you can plant one. Go back and see how you can cultivate one. At some point, the oil is becoming very, very, very expensive. And yet, we have not even mentioned how nutritional the good oil, like the quality one, is to the system. It is highly, very, very, very nutritional. Fat and oil, don't forget. So At this point, I would love to like turn around to tell Enameti, thank you so much for being here today, and thank you for like dishing out the whole lot for us to learn from.
Of course, I'll say thank you for bringing me here and to leave you with this.
Okay.
Since you had brought me, I'll have to give you an advice
Thank you.
to also make money from palm oil too without you really getting involved in palm oil business. And
Mm.
that is this as we speak now,
The season.
this is palm oil season. Palm oil is very cheap at this point in time.
Mm.
So should you have money that you wouldn't want to use immediately, I'd advise that you get some rubbers of palm oil, keep it at the corner of your room, leave it for like 6 months, and then you will make no less than 10 to 15,000 naira per rubber. It's something that I shouldn't do for free, but then since it's you, I hope no other person hears about it though.
I'm sure you blocked your ears about that one because that one is straight to me.
Yeah,
So, but well, being that I'm not that selfish, if you want tap, if you still tap, but make sure. Thank you so much for being there. And please do not forget to like, do not forget to share, do not forget to subscribe. And I would always live to celebrate you. Thank you.